Welcome to part 2 of this episode. Make sure you watch till the end because it gets really good.
Right? Mm-hmm. And they made it up the ladder pretty quick, and they maybe don't have 10, 15, years of experience. Maybe they're freshly in and they're learning themselves, and so sometimes mistakes do happen, and that's where private counsel comes in, and we try to litigate those things.
Absolutely. We see it. I remember a case where someone was in handcuffs and ran, and they were charged with, which is stupid because you're going to get, you're in handcuffs already, but you think you're going to get away. Charged with, resisting an officer, running away. But also, the officer decided to charge an extra charge of robbery.
What?
For taking the handcuffs. And the supervisor said, no. He didn't do it he didn't take your handcuffs with force or threat of force.
Yeah.
He simply was running, happened to have your handcuffs on. So that one got quashed. But imagine if it had made it through,
That's horrible.
Yeah, so it does happen.
That's kind of wild.
Kind of wild. It's like that's creative, cool, but not appropriate.
This is why I always say this is the beauty of defense work. At the end of the day, I had this conversation a long time ago with someone, and they said to me, you lawyers go to law school for all these years and study all these, statutes and case law and, learn how to litigate things and the loopholes and what you can and cannot do, rules of evidence. But cops are not put through the same training when it comes to statutes that they're charging, right? They have a very limited training, and it is a process where after that limited training in the academy, you're really picking this information up and learning it as you go on the field, right? Like you said, with the direction of a supervisor, that's the point. Someone who has a little bit more experience that can guide you, and they're supposed to be, there to help you and answer questions as they arise. But in reality, they don't know these statutes in and out, nowhere near to the capacity that we have to learn them, right?
Absolutely.
And so mistakes do happen, and I will always say it. That's why defense work exists.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think you hit the nail on the head. Yeah. And they don't always have that basis of knowledge because it's a different job than what we do, and they don't always have the time to make. They're working in seconds. We work in days or hours or whatever. So. Again, not saying to excuse anything. I'm just saying there are reasons why mistakes are made. Yeah. And it may not always be intentional. Yeah. Now, if it is, that's a different issue.
Yeah, nothing's perfect. Yeah. I mean, we don't live in a perfect world. That's just what it is.
We're all human, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in a case like a burglary or even a robbery, how important is other evidence is like DNA, surveillance videos, witness statements?
Super important. I mean, because at least from a defense attorney standpoint, if you're coming from my client, you better make sure you can prove ID. You can prove it was him or her. So things like that, speaks volumes, right? You have DNA, that's not good. You got surveillance, especially if it's good camera and it's clear and it's giving some type of identifying marker, such as even, it could be as minimum as a tattoo. Sometimes that can just,
something unique.
Yeah, can really pin you down. Maybe it's not a full-blown picture of the face, but if they can kind of, find a tattoo or something of that kind, that's going to kind of implicate you. That's not good. Yeah. So things of that nature.
Or even similar facts like MO, modus operandi. If you have a string of burglaries and they're all committed in the same way, with the same calling card or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And you find the person. I remember when I was a prosecutor, I had a case like that too, where it was like, okay, well, how many of these can we actually prove? Because he wasn't caught all but one time, but it was the same, like he did the same thing at every scene, all within the same area, time frame. Wow. So that is, but of course, a lot of circumstantial evidence. So, but it does happen, you know? And then you'll have the prosecutor try and string those all together and try and prove all of them. But and then defense will say, well, you have to prove them all beyond a reasonable doubt.
That's right.
And so that's where you start negotiating.
No, absolutely. And I think that is what you said is exactly what you need to do in a circumstance like that. Start negotiating, because if we're starting with, maybe 5 counts of robbery on 5 different incidences, and it's looking like they got a strong 3, but you got a weak 2, remaining 2, let's talk. Let's talk, because maybe you do have my client on the first 3, but you don't got 5.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? And sometimes, a conversation and a meeting of the minds between you and the prosecutor can solve a lot.
Absolutely.
I think people really underestimate that there is a lot of power between being able to negotiate and have a good conversation behind the scenes with a prosecutor. So much can be accomplished, but you do have to come to the table with a solid argument, right? You can't just throw whatever sticks on the wall hoping that they'll just say, okay. You have to show some type of credibility, because if you go into those negotiations behind the scene and you don't sound like you know what you're talking about, they're gonna look at you and say, see you at trial, I got this.
Come prepared.
That's not good.
No, come prepared and come with a strong legal argument and mitigation.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you. All right, I'm gonna run through some common myths. So I'm gonna run through it.
Okay.
Rapid fire. I ask, you answer.
Okay.
1, is shoplifting considered robbery?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
So if you take something off a shelf, leave the store, not a robbery.
No, but you're missing that element of robbery where it's the person has to be, in fear, aware, or force, or any of those things. So just taking something off the shelf doesn't qualify. That's theft.
It's not a robbery. It's theft. It's not even burglary.
There you go.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
So if the store is open for business, so now it's different. If the store is closed and you're sneaking in to steal something, that's different.
Yeah.
Now, but if it's open to the public, afternoon, you're on your lunch break, you take something off the shelf, go to leave, not a robbery. It's a theft. Although I have seen it where it turns into a robbery.
Yeah. I've seen the opposite. I've seen, now that you say this as law enforcement, I've seen cases where, actually in hotels, where a person has walked into the hotel, right? Hotel's open 24 hours. You have people in the front desk, whatever. For whatever reason, they want to get to the back. Let's say the intent was to steal money, from the front desk. And you cross that threshold that says employees only. Now you're getting hit with a burglary.
See, that's a
good one, right?
That's a really good one. I'm glad I wasn't even thinking of that.
I worked the case like that.
Okay.
Yeah, as
You're
law
right.
enforcement.
And the reason is, even though is private property open to the public, not that particular area.
Absolutely, and especially if they have, signs saying employees only, and let's say they have like a little threshold, like a little door or something, and you just walk past that threshold, it's gonna meet statute.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
I like that.
People don't think about that.
No. And people also don't think, like with the shoplifting, if you're taking something off the shelf and you're going to leave, but loss prevention sees you and they catch you, whatever, and you have a tussle over the property and you leave with it, now it is a robbery because you've taken it from the person.
Sudden snatching.
Yeah,
Robbery by sudden snatching.
Yeah, that's different layers of robbery.
Absolutely.
Too. So, okay, let me see if there's another good one on here. Okay, if someone walks into an unlocked home, is that still burglary?
Yes.
Why?
Absolutely.
But it's not even locked.
Because the breaking and entering doesn't have to be literal, as in you're breaking a door, you're breaking a window, you're breaking a screen.
Yeah, maybe
it could be,
maybe in other states, but not in Florida.
Right, not in Florida. It could be, let's say, an unlocked window that you just lifted. You lifted and you crawl through. That's it. You're going to meet statute. As long as you have the intent to commit a crime therein, at least that element is going to be satisfied.
Yeah. So let's say you go through the window. Window doesn't have to be locked. You don't have to break it. You don't even have to open it. The window's already open.
True.
And you just
Very good
put your body inside. You're now in that. You're in that house now. And back, back in the old days, common law of England. And
oh my
all
God!
that,
Yes.
It required certain things that we just don't have in Florida. So Florida is like a reduced version because back. All our laws come from England, obviously. So, so in that area of jurisprudence, they wanted burglary had to be a breaking and entering. It had to be at night.
There you go.
You knew that? Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're giving me flashbacks to law school.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember
it had to
day
be at nighttime.
one when my professor said that. Being prior law enforcement, I was so used to Florida statute, right? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say at night. And when she starts talking about common law and she says, at night, I'll never forget. I looked at her and said, what? She said, yeah, it said at night. I love that lady. She was amazing. But yeah, she said funny. At night.
We never talked about this. I had the same experience in law school. Because I had the law enforcement background too. I'm like, at night? What do you
Did it help you or hurt you?
I think it hurt me, frankly.
Me too.
Really?
Me too.
Yeah.
Because I think that, you know, in law enforcement, especially after you gain so much experience in years, you're used to writing these police reports. You're used to investigating these crimes. You are trained and programmed to know the elements of Florida statute. So when you go to law school and they start trying to break down common law, which is different, your brain is programmed to know the elements of Florida statute. And it's
they're
hard.
different.
It's different.
It messed me up.
Yeah, it messed me up big time too. And I would go back and forth with the professor. I love her. I would go back, Professor, no, because Florida statute, we're not talking about Florida statute. We're not talking about common law. Okay.
So in law school, they teach you all the criminal law, but not the criminal law in Florida.
Correct.
So now then you have to kind of relearn it in a way.
Absolutely. You're like wiping your brain in essence and trying to at least start with a clean slate.
Yeah.
And for me, it was hard to wrap my head around that. And, you know, I would sit there after class and be like, no, in Florida, this wouldn't be a burglary because of, and she would laugh and she's like, girl, get that cop mentality out your head right now. And it was tough.
There was someone that I used to work with at the sheriff's office. And after I had gone to law school and became a lawyer, he said, well, I think I'm going to go to law school too. I said, oh, that's great. Why? Well, because I already know Florida criminal law so well. I said, well, hold on. Criminal law is only like 1% of the type of law you learn. And that 1% is not even Florida criminal law. So if you want to go, great, but that's not a good reason to go.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to taking the bar, right? You need to know it for Florida Day.
Right.
Maybe that's where it helped us a little bit.
Barely on the bar.
But yeah.
Anyway, I think we're getting off topic.
We digress.
Okay, let's get back into burglary robbery. Let me ask about juvenile cases. Okay, do you ever see juveniles charged with burglary or robbery?
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot, right?
A lot. It happens more than you think. The last year as law enforcement, I was a school resource officer. And nonetheless, I was a school resource officer in not a good area. You know, a lot of poverty. And there was a case I will never forget that I had because I poured my heart and soul into this juvenile child. I knew, you know, he was absent of a dad. Dad wasn't home. Mom was a struggling single mom trying her best, but struggling. And as much as she was trying to work hard and provide, it just was tough. And so I knew they were living in a motel room, which in that side of town was very common to see within that school. And the kid just started, you know, doing all kind of crimes. I won't even get into the list of things, but that was part of it. And it was, you know, financial hardship that was driving him to those things. And I remember like after, you know, like the 5th time being charged, I'm like, I sat him down and I said, at what point? At what point is this going to turn around for you? And you're going to realize like the system is not going to give it up, you know, and right now you're a juvenile. Exactly. But once you become an adult, you know, this is going to get heftier and heftier for you. And unfortunately, I don't think he understood it at that moment. I think that his financial hardship was driving him more than his want to do different.
Sure.
But it's very common to see, especially in juveniles that are in compromising financial situations at home. I've seen way too much of that.
Yeah, and it's sad. I was a juvenile prosecutor for a little bit, and I would see a lot of robberies come across my desk. And I'm looking at the facts, and it's, you know, robbery is such a serious crime.
It is, yeah.
These kids taking each other's cell phones in the school, and then you have grand theft, and I'm like, it just, you know, it broke my heart too, because in juvenile, you really want to rehabilitate, and it's not it's not supposed to be punitive, and you want to help, but I don't think kids have the mental capacity to know, like, I am committing a robbery. I don't think they have that intent in their head. They're not thinking, you know, they're just kids. So
they're going off of sometimes impulse, bad influences,
what their friends are doing,
hardship. But the scary thing about these kind of crimes, you know, to dig into a different element is the mental portion, because statistics do show that once you start committing theft crimes in general, the more you continue to do them, the less likely you are to stop. Psychology says that it's almost like a rabbit hole, and it almost becomes, people don't realize this, an addiction. And sometimes people do have a slight addiction to that few seconds of, you know, thrill of, oh my God, am I gonna get away with this? Am I gonna be able to do this? And psychology really does link that to theft crimes. So it's scary when you see, maybe not the first time, but when you see a pattern, a repeated pattern, not good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, let me ask you, if someone is being accused of burglary or robbery, what's the first thing they should do?
Get a Danielle. Hello.
Talk to you.
Right. Like, get a thing out. Call Gans Law. Hello. Yeah. Get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Get a lawyer.
Why is that so important, like early on?
Because, like I said, you don't want to talk to the cops.
Yeah.
Don't
We'll talk for you.
Yeah, let us talk for you. Let us, handle it from beginning to end. Once you are in handcuffs, there is nothing more you should be doing for yourself. Hire a lawyer and let us do the work and handle it ourselves. We're trained to know, the laws and know if they really got you or not. And if they do, guess what? We'll litigate it. We'll figure it out. But that's not for you. You leave that to Gans Law.
That's a good pitch. Good pitch. All right. So let's do a couple more rapid fire real quick. Burglary or robbery? Which one do you think is more misunderstood?
Robbery.
Okay. Which crime do you think is prosecuted more often?
Burglary.
Yeah, there's probably more of them, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Which usually carries harsher penalties?
I would think robbery.
Yeah. True or false? Burglary always involves stealing?
False.
True or false? Robbery always involves a gun?
False.
What's one thing every Floridian should know about these crimes?
Don't do them.
Don't do them. That's right. Do not.
Hello.
Stay away. They're treated very harshly in
Yeah,
Florida.
absolutely.
The penalties are very harsh. If you're committing a burglary of a dwelling, second-degree felony is already a level 7 on the score sheet. Mandatory prison, regardless of a completely clean criminal history. It is not great, and robbery is even worse.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, like we talked about, someone may not even know or intend to commit a burglary and does it by accident. I had a case where someone went in to some unnamed fast food restaurant. They might have golden arches or something. But, went in, got into a dispute with one of the employees. I guess he wasn't happy. It wasn't made his way. That's a different fast food restaurant. But he was trying to have it his way. And they got into a dispute, got into little fisticuffs, little push and shoving, whatever.
Oh, my God.
But at that point, he had already been asked to leave. So that transformed it from a misdemeanor battery to a burglary, because now you're trespassing. You're not supposed to be there. You've already been asked to leave. You refuse to leave.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of like what you talked about being in your situation. You go behind the counter where you're not authorized to be. This one, even if you were authorized to be there, you remain in a place where that invitation has been rescinded. So
I had a case very similar in a actually now. You're bringing me back memories. I worked a case with another attorney, and it was a situation very similar in a tattoo parlor.
Oh, really?
And they were asked to leave, and they didn't want to leave, and they crossed that threshold behind the counter, committed a battery, and went down from there. But it was
escalates
not
quickly.
Good. Yeah, I've also seen a situation, because you're speaking about, how people sometimes don't even realize they're going to commit a burglary. Right. There was a case I've seen a very good attorney work one time, and I found it interesting, and I asked some questions because it was just different. It had to do with inherited property. And so the person felt like it should have been inherited, by them and not the family member. And they knew that it was vacant, and they just felt like, whatever the law saying of the estate didn't matter. So I'm going to be going into this place, and voila, they ended up catching a burglary charge amongst other stuff. There's more facts that went into it, but it ended up being a burglary. The attorney was very good at what they did, and they got it downgraded ultimately to a trespass.
There you go.
But it can happen.
Happens a lot. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Burglary versus robbery. This was a great discussion. So thanks for being on the podcast today.
It was fun.
And for those of you that don't already follow us, all our socials, Gans_Law. I'm your host, attorney Brandon Gans. Danielle Padilla, wonderful attorney. And we will see you on the next episode of Badges to Briefcases.
Bye.
Stay safe.